Today what we're going to be going over is I'm going to show you a couple ways that I make handles. Easiest and kind of the most classic of those is going to be your traditional carrot handle, right? That basically starts by just taking however much clay you want. This is probably about a pound. And I kind of wedge it into a thick carrot shape. And then this is going to look easier than when you guys do it, but just the principles still apply, right? So what I like to do is I like to pinch the top part here so it doesn't run away from me. I keep a bucket of water right beneath me, and I always, same thing with when you're throwing, right? You always want wet hands, you always want wet clay. If you notice any drag, immediately try to saturate your clay with water again, okay? So I usually do this just right over a bucket, that way I can just dunk it if I want to. And then all I'm doing is just with very light pressure, I'm kind of just pulling down ever so gently. I don't want to have any kinks in here that I then try to pull down. It's really kind of a smooth, soft motion. And I just move around the clay. As soon as I start to feel any drag, I spin it. Or I rehydrate it. And I'm continually spinning it. Otherwise it's going to come out into a weird diamond shape, like my hand is shaped the way I'm pulling it. So if I continue to spin, I'll end up with something round. That's if you're shooting for a round handle. If you want to flatten it out to make sort of a strap handle, I can show you how to do that as well.
So I feel like this method of handle pulling, it's a little tricky, similar to getting that kind of first ball of clay centered, you know? But I think the reason that these handles are so widely used is that the way that Tyler's stretching that clay out with so much water, it really matches the fluidity of that really compressed, nice thrown piece on the wheel. So that piece of clay that he's working on right now is getting super compressed, but also has that really nice fluid line. And when he bends that, when he attaches it to the piece, it's going to just hold this really nice curve because the clay is just sort of so soft, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it just really complement. There's obviously a bunch of other ways you can make handles, but I think this is definitely the way I make all my mug, pitcher kind of handles, and I think it's just really beautiful fluid line can be created that way.
Cool. And you'll notice I'm starting to get a little tail here. This happens no matter what I do. This is a thing that and this will probably happen to you guys too. It has to do with how you're coming off of the clay. What I usually do is just keep pulling until that tail naturally kind of breaks itself off. And that's how I know I'm getting close to where it'll be a good bend, right? I've been doing this for 17 years. There's no way I cannot do that. That's just kind of ingrained into me. So I'm going to try to get this down to its, and you can see I've probably pulled this 100 times at this point. You know what I mean? I'm taking my time with it. I'm not being greedy with how much clay I'm trying to remove at a time. And if I want to keep that round shape, I keep spinning it. Say I wanted to make a flat handle, more of a strap type handle though, and you guys can see it's already starting to get a little bit of a bend. What I'll usually do is go from a full sort of hand squeeze. I kind of do this thing, I call it like duck lips that I make, where I'll come in between my index and my middle finger, puppy, and I'll pull this way 3, 4, 5 times, and then I'll flip it and I'll pull the other way. Does that make sense to everybody? So instead of using my whole hand, I'm using the in-between of my fingers. Well, this will get me something flat, a flat handle, and the other one will get me a round handle. It's really just a taste thing, what you prefer. I prefer a flat handle. I think it's more comfortable.
There's a really good example of a flat handle right there that somebody did.
Yeah. And so you can see as I'm starting to get thinned out, the clay will kind of tell you when it's good and when it's not good, right? So what I'm looking for is a really nice kind of parabolic curve going in there. And what I'll usually do is I only pull 1 or 2 of these at a time. For every mug, I pull at least 2 handles because guaranteed one of them is going to break on you. You know what I mean? So what I'll usually do is just set this up right here like that. And I'm going to let that firm up before I do anything else to it. It's much easier to manipulate once it's a little more stiff, okay? So that's kind of the quintessential classic pottery way of making handles. Does anyone have any questions?
It looks like you put that on your...
So usually when I'm attaching handles, what I'll do is I'll pull them all. I'll trim whatever pieces I want to put handles on once they're leather hard. By the time I'm done trimming my 5th piece, the first handle is ready to go on the pot. So you kind of got to let these get to the same state of leather hard. If you just leave them out like this, it shouldn't happen in too long.